Hey guys, Mustang here bringing you a Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to be taking a look at the Super EZA for this STR free-to-play Zamasu Goku. This guy has been a bit of a meme, I guess, himself since his release during the 5th anniversary. He was the debut, the very first time that they did this thing where you were given a free-to-play SSR to farm right at the beginning of the anniversary, and by the end of the anniversary that unit had awakened all the way up into an LR and then immediately got an EZA, which obviously is a trend that they then carried on for a few years until we got to the 10th anniversary, of course, and Demon King Piccolo did not get an EZA straight away, which is good. We'd rather these units be usable on release than get an EZA later to give them a bit more longevity, because this guy, even on release with his EZA straight away, he wasn't good. So he came out over like 5 years ago and has just never really been particularly useful. But now he's got his Super EZA, and he is actually relatively good. So we're going to take a look at what he does. Obviously, with Super EZAs, the leader skill doesn't change, so he's 100% for time travelers. I mean, it's a free-to-play unit, so we're not too bothered about that. The super attack doesn't change either. At least his 18-key super does raise attack and defense, so you can get a little bit of extra defense. His 12-key super just does colossal damage and lowers attack and defense. But the main bread and butter, of course, of a Super EZA is the passive, which has had a considerable improvement. So attack and defense 159%. He changes physical key spheres to STR, launches an additional attack that has a high chance to become a super. Then he gives super class enemies attack and defense minus 30%. Extreme class allies attack and defense plus 40%, so good floating support unit for the new Rose and Zamasu team. For 4 turns from his entry turn, he has damage reduction 20%. When there's a future saga enemy, or when all allies attacking in the same turn are extreme, he gets 3 key and then 40% crit and 40% damage reduction. So that means in that first 4 turns, with the previous buff applied, he's got 60% damage reduction. It's pretty good. And then he gets a guaranteed additional super. I mean, chances are you're only really ever going to be running him on a full extreme team build, so he's always going to have that buff, which is good. And then for every attack received, he gets 2 key up to 10. When attacking with 12 or more key, you get 159% defense. When attacking with 18 or more key, you get another 159% defense. The 12 key, you do get attack as well. When the target is 59% or less HP, or attack lowered or defense lowered, he gets an extra 159% attack and a guaranteed crit. And then if you can manage to deliver a finishing blow, which I think he might have introduced this mechanic, maybe, he gets attack and defense and chance to dodge 59%. So the good thing about this is that gives him a little bit of an extra buff, but with everything else that he's doing, it's not like he's completely unusable, like, and if you don't get the finishing blow, because getting the finishing blow can be difficult, especially with a character who, like, he's going to be a 3rd slot floating support unit on a lot of these team setups. And that might cause you to essentially need to, like, break up your rotation if you want to create an opening for him to get a finishing blow. But this is one big thing that we have to note when we look at his stats in a minute here, when we fully jump into the game and see how we can get on, is that, remember, as long as we're getting 18 key, he's going to be getting 318% defense when he attacks. So if we take a look here, the first rotation we've got both the Rose friends, so I guess we will leave it like this. Now obviously this guy being in the Rose state gives 80% attack and defense to allies whose name include Goku Black. Now unfortunately this guy, his name does not include Goku Black, he's just Zamasu brackets Goku. So of course he does not get the support from the Rose, which is unfortunate. So he's got about 200k defense, so that means he's going to go up to what, like just over 800k, something like that, after supering, and that's without the super attack effect. So potentially close to like 900k, but with 60% damage reduction in the first couple of turns. So that's definitely not bad for free-to-play support. He doesn't have big bad bosses, which is a little bit unfortunate, but we've got Nightmare, Dismal Future, Fear and Faith, and Legendary Power active here. So let's go ahead and grab these and see what we can get here from the first turn. So we've got no support outside of obviously what he gives. because he does get his own support. It's not self-excluded. The big thing I talked about when we did the 55% showcase for Rose and Zamasu yesterday is the fact that obviously this team is going to be getting incrementally better over the next couple of days and over the celebration in general. Because remember, like, we did the 55% showcase right after the banner dropped. I pulled the unit, awakened it, did the showcase. So I hadn't farmed up the Zamasu clones. We don't have the AGL Rose EZA yet, which will come out in a couple of days. Super EZA, which will be really good for this team as well. So we got a 15 million attack stat into like an 8, and then we got the additional from the hidden potential as well, putting him up to 8.6. That's not bad for a character who, okay, he's just going to keep going. Let's go. For a character who is essentially just going to be on the team to be providing that support, like, that's definitely not bad for the throwing out some decent little attack numbers. Again, remember, he is a free-to-play unit. Now, of course, he is Rainbow, full level 10 links. I think I'd never even bothered to give him even relatively half-decent skill orbs, because obviously he's never been good, but updated that today, gave him some skill orbs for a little bit of extra additional crit. I think mine has 3 dodge. I guess probably being a free-to-play unit who now is a support primarily, you probably want to go like full additional with his build, but or sorry, full dodge I should say, but it doesn't really matter too much here for now. He's a free-to-play unit, so obviously we can reverse him all the way down to the STR Zamasu, just grab a couple of copies from the event. Like, you could literally do one run with a boost and probably get a couple of copies to drop. So fixing his hidden potential is not going to be particularly difficult, because yeah, for the first 4 turns he gets that extra 20% damage reduction, and then after that it drops off. So obviously some of the tough bosses that we have at the moment, because we haven't got any new like red zones or anything yet for this celebration, and even if we do, right, we probably wouldn't get the actual final difficult stage until the end. The difficult bosses, a lot of them do very regularly super attack in slot 1, so it's not got to worry too much. But on the off chance where that doesn't happen, you know, past turn 4, his post super defense, if we're talking about him having under 1 million and he's only got 40% damage reduction, then that means any super attacks like 2 million or more are going to be one-shotting this guy, which is most of the difficult bosses in the meta at the moment. Now, obviously, this team has the possibility to get a lot of extra buffs going on around it. Like, we've got the potential domain from physical Zamasu. We've got the active skill from Rose, which of course buffs everybody as well. Actually, this worked out. I couldn't have asked for a better scenario than this. Like, we've ended up with, I really thought we were just going to kill Goku Black on the previous turn, but somehow we didn't, which means we're actually going to be able to get the finishing blow for the Zamasu Goku here. So 23 million in slot 1, and then we get the crit and we get the finishing blow. So next time he comes back around, he's going to have that extra buff, including the 59% chance to dodge, which obviously is very, very useful. So let's go ahead and I guess we could just domain straight away, because then we have the buff up ready for the next turn for Zamasu Goku. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So pop this, get the domain up for our super boss's buff. Obviously in this event we are buffing the enemy as well. I didn't really think too much about the event before I just jumped in. I like using the Goku story Future Saga stage for showcasing units, because it's relatively challenging, but obviously it's not like the hardest event in the game, but it is still kind of tough. So we'll see how we get on. But we got the Rainbow Rose friend in slot 1, so 41 million with him linked up with the physical Rose, and then the super boss's support from Golden Frieza, additional to 28. Yeah, I absolutely love this new Rose. The Zamasu can be good as well in the right scenario, but just Rose himself, just in slot 1, absolute beast. And physical Rose definitely looking very good again these days. I need to do a proper video for just focusing on him and how good he can be now, because that's the great thing about reversible exchange. Obviously in slot 1 we've got Rose, but because of the naming he can link up with the other Roses, and then they share almost all their links. He's giving that support to other characters whose name includes Goku Black, So, and then of course, you know, the active skill, which can give even more support. Then you've got the physical Rose domain on top of that. Like, absolutely insane, like, build up you can get for this guy. And then of course, as I say that, as I glaze our boy physical Rose, he takes a type disadvantage super for 1,000,000 damage. Literally after we managed to get the final blow for Zamasu Goku, which we're going to jump back in, but watch me like not be able to get the finishing blow for him again now. Okay, well, we're back in the second phase, and as expected, we weren't able to get the finishing blow with Goku, Zamasu Goku. Again, I think we got incredibly lucky that first time, so that's very, very unfortunate. Literally, after I was singing the praises of the Rose, he manages to sell for us. So we don't have the domain active or anything here yet for physical Rose. So we should just see a similar turn to the previous with this Goku Black, Zamasu Goku. We do have the 7 orbs for the Broly trio, and we picked up the support like orbs for them as well. So should still do relatively decent numbers here. Yeah, 27 million on the 18 key. Again, I think the important thing to remember with this guy is that he's a free-to-play unit, and he's really just meant for, like, he'll be there for support. So the fact that he's still able to drop these kind of numbers, I think, is definitely very, very good. Consistently getting the crits there as well, thanks to that part of his passive. And then, yeah, he tanks all the normals for double-digit damage. So his next appearance is where we're going to have lost the, like, extra 20% damage reduction. So that's where things will get a little bit interesting. I think the biggest problem with finishing blow type passives now as well is that bosses are starting to have so much HP. Like, it can be very tricky to even get into a situation where you know on the turn, like, oh, okay, I've got to put him in this slot because that's where he'll be able to get the finishing blow, right? Like, it's kind of difficult to even be able to tell sometimes. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm really worried that physical Rose is actually just going to sell us out here again now. After being so excited for his comeback with this team, I am a little bit concerned. But let's go ahead and do this, and then we'll just grab the int orbs for you. Because, yeah, the thing is, Zamasu has a very decent amount of HP himself, so it's very unlikely that we'll get Zamasu's HP low enough on this turn that then the Zamasu Goku is able to just kill him on the previous one, on the next one. So that's 43 million. That's my 55% one, by the way, who is now level 10 links. But 43 million linked up with the physical Rose, the domain support from him, and then the support from Golden Frieza. Like, that's still pretty insane. 43 million for the 55% one. Like, yeah, obviously it is a turn with a lot of support. He's got his links active, but, like, it's not like we had to jump through a crazy amount of hoops to, like, set this up. So yeah, that's pretty wild for 55% STR Rose. He's already supered, so we don't need to worry for Goku Black here, physical Rose now. Obviously post-attacking, his defense is going to be very, very high. It's just like he doesn't have the damage reduction or anything after attacking within the Scythe form, so getting hit with a type disadvantage super is like the worst possible thing for him. But if you get a turn where you do enough supers, like, he would be able to tank type neutral supers, like, relatively well, because his defense does get up to, like, a few million. But obviously when you've got a character who's hitting incredibly hard and has type advantage, big damage from that super, unfortunately. So we have got our pretty much full build up for Ki here. We've got 5 links active on this rotation. I mean, I guess if we go ahead and use your active skill, the friend is rainbow but not link leveled. If we use the friend Rose active skill here, that's going to give the permanent buff. Although the problem is, yeah, see, Rose probably kills him here now. I mean, it's too risky to put him in. He can't go in slot 1. I mean, I could try this and hope that the Rose doesn't kill, I guess. And then we'll do this, and then we'll do this. So we just get the 12 key super for STR Rose. He's still going to hit relatively hard, though, but he's not got, like, full key. Hopefully he won't. Nah, damn. Of course he did the additional. Yes, he's too good. But yeah, this is going to be the problem always with these finishing blow characters, right? Is obviously I'm not disappointed with his performance in this run at all. It's just the fact that, like, yeah, now we're at a point where it's like, well, we can't get the thing for him. So, in fact, actually, what's going to be really crazy is if we use your active skill as well. That's double support. I think I'm going to do that just because then we'll see even more crazy numbers from the Zamasu Goku, because now we've got double STR Rose active skills in play, which obviously lasts for like multiple turns. I'm not going to worry about getting you too many orbs because I want them to get 7 orbs. There we go. Alright, so this should be a pretty crazy turn. Remember, again, this is my 55% Rose. He's Rainbow. Taking the super in slot 1 from Rose and Zamasu for double-digit damage. And then 56 million attack stat. Jeez. I mean, we've got a lot of support going on, right? Because it's the double Rose active, like, setup. But, man, that's 55% level 10 links hitting that hard. That's pretty good. And then even physical Rose, like, we know he starts off low. But, like, even him starting at 9 million is not bad. And then it just kind of all depends on the RNG. Obviously, to make sure we got the 7 orbs of the Broly trio, I didn't get many rainbow orbs. So we potentially won't get a crazy amount of super attacks off here. But getting some extra attacks. Obviously, we're getting the crits there as well. And then we're already up to 24 mil. I mean, here's the thing. This physical Rose we saw earlier, right, where he got killed. Like, he certainly can still be a liability in certain situations. But man, he definitely is fun to use again on this team. Can build up to some... If you get the God RNG, like you get a ton of rainbow orbs and you get the turn where he does like 5 or 6 super attacks. I've seen screenshots of him getting up to like 50 odd million with the like final super, which is pretty good considering how many times he will attack in the one turn. So... And then, yeah, Broly Trio, we got the 7 orbs for them. I mean, they're going to be, honestly, like one of the first units that gets dropped off the team when we get the full setup. Like, we've got the HL Rose Super EZA. I finished farming all the clones. Because, man, you've got to farm a lot of them up. And then, obviously, I want to link level them all as well. That's the good thing about the Super EZA, obviously, for this Zamasu Goku. Him being a unit that was already in game. So he's already been Rainbow Link level 10 for a while. So he's at 387k. So bear in mind, remember what we said previously. If I put his defense into the calculator here, 387,706. When he's attacking with 18 key, he's going to get an extra 318%. So that puts him up to 1.6 million with 40% damage reduction, which, I mean, for a support unit, that is pretty good. Like, he's not obviously going to be tanking the big supers or anything like that, but for a free-to-play floating support character, I think that is pretty good for his defense overall. And then, of course, we got STR Rose. This is the friend one. Not link leveled, sadly. And, of course, that means no big bad bosses. So, what's he going to hit? That's the good thing about, I guess, the one good thing about this Zamasu Goku not having big bad bosses is that because he's going to be the floating slot 3 support, it means that ideally your slot 1 and 2 units share big bad bosses, so they still have that link active. And then Zamasu Goku's just in slot 3 giving the support, which is going to be pretty good, I think, for the final version of the team. I feel like I see this guy definitely has a place on this team as a floating support. And yeah, his only weakness is going to be like the off chance that you get those turns where, you know, the boss does end up supering in slot 3. Because bear in mind, he does get a 30% raise on his 18 key super as well. So he is actually somewhere around like 1.7 to 1.8 million defense here with 40% damage reduction. So that means he's tanking like a 3 million damage super. It's just unfortunate that the toughest bosses in the meta now are doing like 5 or 6 million. So obviously he's not going to survive those. But some of those are bosses like Jiren, who will pretty much always super in slot 1. So I think there's going to be a lot of situations where you will be able to use this guy on the team. And because we got so much support from all the different things, like the domain, the Goku Black active skill, like so much stuff going on. In fact, this actually makes for a pretty interesting setup. Let's go ahead and do this. We don't get to see Zamasu very much. Like I say, we didn't really get to see him in the 55% showcase at all. So let's do this here. And then actually use Zamasu. So we'll do that. We've got all our links active if we do this as well. So, and we can go ahead and grab those. I think it's when attacking you have to be at the 60% or less HP for him to get the massive attack buff, unfortunately. So obviously we're not going to see that here because we healed up with the orbs. Kind of need to get the tech orbs for that extra bit of support from the Infinite Zamasu, who of course now can just face tank. This is what I was saying about Tech Zamasu when we did the re-showcase for him, like just before the celebration started, is if you can hide him for the first few turns and then you get to this turn and just throw out the domain, like you get a couple of turns where you just have a completely invincible slot 1 unit, and then Zamasu with the 60 million attack stat here, and that's without any support like all the domain, because remember Tech Zamasu's domain, all it does is make superclass enemies take more damage, so that's essentially irrelevant here. But yeah, that's certainly pretty interesting that Tech Zamasu, you can kind of get away with him being usable in some of these situations. Not the best setup for a Rosé here, of course, but I thought it'd be interesting to switch over to the STR Zamasu and just see how we're looking on this turn for him. But yeah, so you can notice a huge difference. I mean, out of the domain and out of like the scythe sort of mode, the physical Goku Black obviously not quite as crazy. Still decent, still throws out a good few attacks, should be able to tank the normals at the end for double-digit damage. But I think maybe we'll see one more turn with the Zamasu Goku here this next rotation, because obviously these guys have a ton of HP. I like to use this stage for showcases, like I said, but we don't usually end up going all the way through to actually finishing the stage because these guys have so much health. It just gives us a good opportunity to get a bunch of different turns in. And of course, with this being the final phase, it means we're now we're not able to get in the the finishing blow, because obviously if Zamasu Goku gets a finishing blow, we'll have won the event. So right, so this turn he does get Cold Judgment with the Broly trio though, which is pretty good. So if we do this, and then we can grab these, get all of the STR orbs for you, gives a nice bit of extra support as well. But yeah, overall I would say, like, even if it was just in a vacuum, I would say I'm really happy with this guy, like the way he turned out. But I do think it kind of does have that added little bit of sweetness, like that little extra justice. The fact that this unit was so bad on release and now is actually quite good. And is a unit that, you know, like I say, with I think the optimal build, by the time we get the AGL Rosé Super EZA in a couple of days, we should get the Int LR Fusion Zamasu EZA hopefully next week. By the time that's all shaped up and we're looking at, like, you know, what is the optimal STR Rosé and Zamasu team, I feel like this guy probably could be on there, right, with that support, as long as you're running the full extreme build, which, I mean, if you're running the Rosé and Zamasu team, of course, it's a Super Bosses team. But you can throw on super class characters like the Kale and Caulifla and stuff like that, but Rosé and Zamasu themselves really do want extreme allies unless you're going to be matching them up with all the future characters. This guy wants all extreme allies. So I think the best version of the team probably is going to end up being like full extreme setup. And of course, remember, this guy does lower attack on his 12 key, and we do get a couple of extra supers like every turn if we get the good RNG. So any events where you actually can lower attack is going to be very good. And considering he's got type disadvantage, like tanking the normal attacks for double-digit damage, I definitely will take that. I think that is pretty good for this Zamasu Goku. Again, especially considering where we started with this guy 5 years ago when he got his EZA, and everyone was just kind of like, oh, is that it? Like, and now here we are 5 years later with the new Rosé Zamasu celebration, and he is actually pretty good and definitely deserves a spot on the team, I think. So let me know what you guys think of the Zamasu Goku down below in the comment section. His Extreme Z area stage for like the Super EZA was relatively straightforward. You had to use the actual, like, you had to use him on the team, who pre-Super EZA obviously was like the worst unit on the team, but yeah, pretty straightforward to get that done. And yeah, he's pretty good. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.